Committee and Metro Council. Before us, we have the Chamber of Commerce. We'll turn it over to you, Mr. Schultz, for you to make the introductions.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson Vercher. We appreciate the opportunity to be here. We're here to talk about the contract that we have with Metro government with regard to economic development services. With me today are Courtney Ross, who's our Chief Economic Development Officer, and
did you go blank? Jordan Taylor Sloan.
Okay.
Jordan Taylor Sloan, but yeah, that's because I can never get those last two names in the right order. And Jordan handles our small business activity for the Chamber as well. So we're here mainly to answer your questions, but maybe to lead off with a little overview. Here is Courtney.
Sure. Thank you again, and good afternoon. Just a little bit about the renewal of the P2020 contract for project management of economic development services as well as small business resource. So as in years past, the contract for services would include project management for all relocation and expansion projects in Davidson County. We serve as the producer of the existing business program for Davidson County, working closely with Jamari Brown and his team at the mayor's office, as well as all the council members in your districts, including the tours and some of the council district visits that we make year to year. Research and response for all RFPs and client requests. So this includes all RFPs. The companies who are looking to relocate or expand in Davidson County come through our office, and we use our expert research services to complete those RFPs, complete site visits, and all the things that go into to that aspect. Filling the pipeline through marketing and promotional services, advancing and promoting Nashville as an ideal for businesses all over the county. And assistance and services to foster small business growth in Davidson County. As Ralph mentioned, Jordan Taylor Sloan leads that program. So a few results from this current fiscal year since July 1st, 2018, which many of you are aware of the great economic development success that Davidson County has had in this past year and the past several years. There have been 48 relocations and expansions in Davidson County. This has represented 57% of all projects in the region have landed in Davidson County. Of these 48 projects, there will be 9,998 new jobs over the next 5 years from these 48 relocations and expansions. Increased capital investment. We've hosted site consultants in Nashville. We've produced 13 business studio workshops. There have been over 642 small businesses participating in over 1,800 small businesses participating in the last several years since we've had this relationship and this contract in place for Business Studio. Jordan can also speak to the Small and Diverse Business Forum, where over 600 small and minority-owned businesses participated in the last 3 years. And then our Leadership Connect cohort is in its second year. We've been really excited about the success of this program of small businesses really engaging and plugging into the community and learning more in all the different aspects of Davidson County. Again, happy to answer any questions, and thank you for your continued partnership with us.
Councilwoman Allen.
Thank you all for being here. We certainly know about the success, and interestingly, we have gotten an awful lot of feedback from folks who are just kind of nervous about the speed and scope of things. So I'd love to hear y'all speak some more about what you're doing with the small business, and to maybe just reflect on if now maybe is a time that folks are coming, and if we are less aggressive, they'll probably still come anyway, and can we focus more energy on bringing up the folks that are here? So I'd love to hear more about the small business piece of it.
Right, and maybe I can start by just on our proactive marketing. We are able to be more strategic in that there's maybe certain companies that are a really good fit for Davidson County, and we would love to have conversations if there's a company that is maybe a supplier to a company that's already here that would help that. So we're able to work closely with Jamari and Audra and now Jackie on what companies make sense. So we're in that position of strength, as well as the decision on which companies are incentivized with the wages that they pay or those type of things. So I think it's, we can be more strategic, but certainly focus a lot of efforts on small business. So I'll let Jordan speak to maybe some of that.
Well, thank you for the question. We currently have a number of programs that are specifically for the small business community of Nashville. One of which was Highlighted Business Studio, is a monthly event that is free for anybody and everybody in all of Nashville. Over the past year, we have grown attendance by nearly 200%, which is a very exciting reflection of the activity within the specific community. We additionally are in the second year of a cohort offering specifically for successful small business leaders who are interested in the long-term prosperity of the Nashville region. We have graduated 20 individuals as of next month, and they are exposed to a variety of issues pertaining to Nashville's long-term prosperity, including affordability, transit, education, workforce, and a few others as well. But it's an amazing opportunity for developing a long-term pipeline of community leaders, and we're very thrilled to be offering this program.
Anything else you want to say about?
Go ahead.
And then totally different question. Thank you. That's a very helpful answer. In decisions that we have made with regard to economic incentives, we've relied on some good research that's been done, I think, for the mayor's ECD office by the UT professor who does the forecast of all the kind of spin-off costs that happen. And I had asked Matt if it were possible for someone to do a study retroactively of these people came, to somebody that we incentivized 5 years ago, and now we can look back and say, yes, those jobs happened, and yes, those houses got bought, and yes, the sales tax went up and all that kind of stuff. And I think Matt sort of offered y'all the responsibility to help me out with that information. Can you tell me where that process is?
On an ongoing basis, we undertake studies like this. So we're just completing a project where we've done some of that examination. So sometime this summer, I think we will have that information ready.
That'd be great. Mm-hmm. Thank you. I appreciate the work on that.
Councilman Cooper.
Thank you, Chair Lady, and I want to thank the Chamber for being here. 2 questions. First, if you would comment on the size of the jobs pipeline that you were talking about, particularly compared to the last few years. Is it growing to just
Correct.
Where that is?
So for the entire region, the pipeline is 121 companies that are currently looking in the Nashville region right now, and that is, go ahead.
Oh, and I'm sorry, where we were a year ago or 2
yep.
years ago in terms of this remarkable job
right.
number.
We have just kind of looked at those numbers, and it has, it's pretty comparable to what it was in the last 2 years. I will say the shift has been that the job numbers attached to some of these projects are much larger. So they tend to be 500 to 1,000 jobs that are really interested in those call center operations. So that has been a little bit of a shift, that the projects are growing in number, but there's still a very active pipeline, and it's not increased significantly, and it's not decreased. It's pretty much steady in the last 3 years.
So in terms of the 9,000 plus jobs that you're looking at last year or the previous year, it would have been kind of an equivalent number.
So the 9,998 are those that were attached to the companies that have already announced. Okay. So over the next, and that includes Amazon's 5,000. So that is over the next 5 years, that's how many jobs they will create.
Right. So I was just trying to...
And that is larger because Amazon was the largest project of ever. So last year's was around 6,000.
Okay.
So
if you factor out Amazon, it's relatively consistent
exactly.
to growing. Okay.
Yes,
just wanted to be prepared for our bright future. The second question, the partnership fund really used to be $300,000 not that many years ago. You have not really grown that much with everything in the city, but it was paid for out of the hotel tax back as recently as 2010. Would this be a reimbursable expense, maybe back to the hotel tax, the same way that I think police overtime downtown is now viewed as possibly a reimbursable expense to the city?
Well, unless Courtney has an answer to that question, I don't. We really don't know where those funds come from. We just
Okay.
know that we have a contract for services and we fulfill the services.
Okay. Thank you, but, I'm grateful, but again, we're always looking for different pockets and, to fund worthy activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Cooper. Councilman Hall.
Just circling back to something Councilwoman Allen was on, from a small business perspective, can you speak a little bit more in detail about efforts to create small business, grow small business, and what resources there may be for small businesses existing to connect both with the chamber and be part of this new pipeline?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. As you all are probably aware, the small business resource providers in the area have worked very closely with Audra Ladd and her team to roll out an amazing new resource primarily for the small business and entrepreneurial community of Nashville. It maps out the different services available for education, for funding, for permits, etc. And so the past year we've been all working very closely in supporting her efforts, which were rolled out, I believe, last week. It's an amazing tool for all of our small business community to help communicate what is needed to start and where they can go to grow. Additionally, the Chamber provides monthly workshops specifically focused on specific aspects of growth and scaling. So we have had strategy model workshops, we have had decision-making workshops, all to provide to the small business community that the Chamber attracts and to non-Chamber members as well, how to grab quick concepts and so that they can apply them to their day-to-day operations. We additionally are putting on a conference in the next month that is specifically on leadership within the small business community, which will cover a lot of topics pertaining to growth.
I see the wheels turning.
Well, part of what I would add to that is just the fact that with all of this job growth, particularly with companies that we kind of classify as exporters, that is, they produce more value here than is actually consumed here, that provides a stimulus to professional service firms that are oftentimes entrepreneurial and local firms, restaurants, dry cleaners, et cetera, that are also entrepreneurial but are generated because of that job growth in those kind of what we would call exporting categories, that is, businesses that produce more than is consumed locally. So all of those dynamics serve to make the entrepreneurial environment here very strong. In fact, 24% of our economy is based on entrepreneurial activity, which is larger than the average, partially because we have a lot of that economic activity with those large exporting companies.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Hall. Councilwoman Hurt.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you all, Chamber of Commerce, for being here, and you all really did warm my heart. I was so happy to see the inclusion of the Jefferson Street Jazz and Blues Festival, the African Street Festival, and the National Music of African American Music listed in your annual report and your venues and all of that. Just wonderful to see the growth and progression, so I hope it continues. To that point, I was wondering if you all had any plans to expand your relationships with those pockets of poverty with workforce development and the jobs that you help bring to the city, if you could speak to the inclusion of those areas for some of those jobs.
I'll just start off by mentioning that we're about to start a new 5-year planning cycle this coming fall. That will be an area of focus for us as we go through this into this planning cycle. The way economic development works these days, you need workforce for the job creators to want to have their jobs in this area. So an area that we will be looking to will be how do we how do we engage residents of this area to higher levels of productivity so that they're available for those job creators? So the idea of deepening the prosperity in this community by helping people to elevate their job skills is going to be an important focus for us.
And I would also mention in this very tight labor force, this is a great opportunity for us to do just that. And we work really closely with Clifton Harris at the Urban League, with NCAC on just constantly trying to find maybe the underserved workforce areas so that we can, through our other programs and workforce development through Middle Tennessee Reconnect, and just adults with some certification but no degree, and just continually, in a separate initiative of the Chamber and our talent, is to continually tap into maybe the underserved and undiscovered workforce opportunities that we have. So as Ralph said, we'll be diving deeper into that in our next 5-year plan.
Thank you very much. If I could just suggest that you work with some of the neighborhood groups, some of those grassroots organizations, like Gang, and I'm sure you know Clement Greenlee and some of those individuals. And I would even reach out to Maurice and Cynthia Fitzgerald for their program, because they do a great job. And I know they do ACT training, but because they are preparing those kids for college, and it'll be good to just get some connections together with those organizations. Thank you.
You know we take your suggestions seriously.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Hurd. And I want to echo what Councilwoman Hurd was stating earlier about just your increased level of engagement in minority communities. And I like the radio spot too. I believe that's the first time I've ever heard a chamber ad on the radio, 92Q, giving them a shout out. Can someone just elaborate, expand upon like the work with the Urban League? Like, what is that? Like,
So,
what's the result of that collaboration?
A lot of we have relationships, meetings. When companies come to town, they want to meet with not just companies that are looking to move here, but companies that are looking to expand here, that are having labor shortages or trouble finding those, or really want to understand all the places where they can tap into labor sources of, the companies are really interested in further diversifying their workforce. And so, like many things that we do, we serve as a connector to all the resources, all the universities, all of the staffing agencies, all the different community resources that we have. And thank you for those suggestions, Councilwoman Hurt. Those are great suggestions to add to that. So it's really about connecting, partnering, and where there's a job fair, help making sure that companies understand that that's taking place at the Urban League. And so it's really about that. It's about partnership, and it's about working closely and understanding what each organization is doing, and so that we can then communicate that to those companies that are looking here.
So more like a clearinghouse, so to speak.
Okay. And really one of the primary resources that we provide is really that connection point where a company can call and we can help connect them. So it's really important that we understand all the things and all the different resources that are there, so that we can certainly not be everything to everyone, but we can connect them to those resources.
Yeah, I think it's for us just to understand the intricacies and all the nuances with when you come before us and you mention your various community partnerships and collaborations. Because at somewhere there's a disconnect. We still have so many people that say they can't get a job. So we just need to make sure that
we understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Van Rees.
It's an excellent opportunity to segue into thanking you for the outreach to the area chambers. I think it's been progressive and inclusive, and I know it's going to be ongoing, so it's very exciting. I think that sometimes those of us in government as well as in planning can overplan, and sometimes it's time to stop talking about it and do something, and I'm seeing some actual action take place, but that happens not only in the forming of those meetings, but also starting actual action plans. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I've heard a lot back from some of the area chambers, and they're very excited about not only the collaboration with the Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce, but with each other, which is fantastic. It's very, very Nashvilleian of us. One of the things you guys know, I'm a big proponent of small business. I think that the word small is relative to some people. What is your definition of small business? And whenever you start talking about employee numbers as a definition, is there such a thing as a micro business? Because there's, I think, an ongoing effort in the craft making community and the artistic community where you have not 50 employees, but maybe 10, and you'd really like to grow it to 15. And I think that they need help as well, and I want to make sure that they're involved in the discussion.
Thank you for the question. The Chamber moves forward with a definition of small as 50 or under, but the majority of the small businesses that I interact with on a weekly basis and that we serve through a variety of programs are 10 and under. And so we understand 50 compared to 10 is an extremely different story, and so ensuring that with this large number of 10 and fewer employees, making sure our content reflects something that is not only beneficial but applicable to their situation and understanding those differences. Yes.
I think it's fantastic, and I think that we as a city need to also keep that in mind, because I think some of our incentive programs are geared towards small business as opposed to micro business. And I think that if one of the ways to keep the culture of Nashville is to make sure that we're incentivizing the small businesses as well as the micro businesses. Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Van Rees. What you made me think of, can you just convey that collaboration with the smaller chambers, like what that is? I know we say collaboration and we say partnerships, but we never really fully express what that is beyond meetings.
Well, first of all, we collaborate. We have been meeting to find out where there are intersecting needs, intersecting purposes, and intersecting objectives. But additionally, Alliance Bernstein is a great example of an organization, a business that was looking at Nashville to bring their headquarters here. And the first thing they wanted to do was meet with civic organizations like the area chambers, chambers of other purposes, ethnic chambers and so forth, because they wanted to get a sense of the culture in the community and the vitality of the community from that more of a grassroots perspective. So we interact on economic development. We interact sometimes on sort of neighborhood undertakings or priority setting within some of those areas and categories, whether it be on transit, education, or some of those kind of community needs. But I would tell you, just again, based on the suggestions made in this council chamber last year, we did undertake a much more structured effort to engage with those groups. And as you said, we have all engaged with each other. It's been more of a joint activity with different chambers, Black Chamber, Latino Chamber, Bellevue Chamber, Madison, Rivergate, et cetera. A lot of chambers interacting over this last year on economic development and on community issues.
Councilwoman Van Rees, that's it?
No, that's fantastic. And I think that if you're a member of any of those chambers or more than one of those chambers, or if you're a member of one and need to be a member of all four, understanding that it's in the water in Nashville. We survive by collaborating. That's what makes us unique. And there's no room for whiners if you're not reaching out to ask for help, because I think help is being offered in a strategic way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Van Rees. Councilwoman Dow.
Thank you. I really appreciate the work that you all do, and I'm glad to hear that you've begun to collaborate more with the area chambers. One of the things, and I say this every year, so it's going to sound like a repeat, is that you know, I'm still very interested in seeing more work done outside the core of our city, especially with some of our small businesses. I know you mentioned like the after hours and things that you're doing with young people in the core of the city, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that there are a lot of young and a lot of small businesses that exist outside the core of the city. I happen to represent one of the fastest growing areas in the city, and there are numerous small businesses. Many of them, we actually have like a immigrant business group that meet out there, and then we have a couple other groups. And I've spoken with you once before, in fact, when I first came into office, about collaborating to start a merchants chamber out in that southeast area for the purpose of helping them understand how do you do business, you know, how do you maintain your business, keep your business, grow your business, collaborate with one another in a lot of different avenues and so forth. And I see it more necessarily now than the last 7 years, as we see a lot of businesses now priced out of downtown. Some of those businesses that have existed there for years are starting to lose their leases, as you know, and a lot of them are looking for less expensive space, so they're migrating to your Bellevues, your Madisons, your Antioch areas. And what will be good is if we had a little more, I think, if we could work a little more with those businesses out in those communities and look toward fostering some of these merchant-like chambers, because one of the things I see is the chamber really focusing on larger businesses and not necessarily the smaller business. But I think we have a wonderful opportunity, and this is the opportune time to really start a focus, as has been stated earlier, on those small businesses and growing them in a way that reflect the culture of our city. So I definitely would like to see more. And I know you work with CNAP in our area, but CNAP is not really a chamber. And it's not inclusive of all the businesses. You know, it's very strong on community and not as much on businesses. It has an opportunity, if we could get the business people to adopt it and take it over, like in Donaldson and Bellevue and some of the other areas. But we would like to, and that's something I would like to work on post-council, is getting our business community organized in a way that could help foster more development on that small business sector in our community. We have the large-size business going pretty good with 14 new companies moving in, but we're seeing the restaurant, the retail, and those other smaller businesses kind of migrate out of the area. And I think if we could come together and work a little more in that area, will help foster that.
You know, I do think our chamber has resources that can be utilized by chambers, geographic chambers, smaller chambers that really have a close relationship with those businesses in those particular neighborhoods. So as we identify an organization, or as they make themselves known to us, there are some resources we can deliver to them that help them strengthen their offering to those businesses in their area. So I think part of the initiative that's taken place in the last year is helping us to distribute some of that throughout the community and neighborhoods.
Councilwoman Henderson.
Thank you, Chair Vercher. So I'm sticking with the theme related to the area chambers. I think almost every time I've had the opportunity to speak with you all during this term, we've talked similarly about the opportunity of engaging with the geographic chambers and providing a little more structure and support for growing our business improvement districts. And, you know, where you do have the legacy chambers, like Bellevue, Council Lady Weiner and I have met with representatives from the Bellevue Harpeth Chamber, and I volunteered for many years with something called the Green Hills Action Partners that then became the Alliance for Green Hills. And so, as we've discussed, those groups really have kind of a core membership that's very focused on the sense of identity for that particular community or area. And as we look at, you know, streetscape improvements that support transit, some of these kind of, not intangibles, really tangibles, but, you know, the flower baskets, the banners, the, you know, the improved transit shelters, those kind of things that are all going to kind of come together and work, I think, symbiotically with some of our transit efforts. I just wonder, as you all are doing that outreach, are you hearing about that, or what are you doing kind of proactively? Because I really do feel like, I mean, I've discussed that with Director Kemp as well, that, I mean, there's somewhat of a a disconnect with us comparative to other cities of our size, especially like city county consolidated like we are. I really think it would behoove this city to have more business improvement districts to be able to support these streetscape initiatives. And so that's something we've discussed several times, and I'm just, here we are 3.5 years, and I want to make sure y'all are continuing to do that, because there is somewhat of a toolkit of it for it. There's lots of cities that do it, but it is somewhat of a heavy lift, and so I think y'all do such a great job in your programming and your liaison with everybody and your resources. I just feel like if you all would get behind that, it would be a really great thing for the city and just generally for business as they look to locate, to Council Lady Dow's point, in Madison, in Bellevue, and otherwise. Thank you.
So noted.
Thank you, Councilwoman Anderson. Councilman Davis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Wow. I'm going to ask the same question I've asked for the last 8 years. How much are you asking for?
The mayor has put us in the budget for $350,000, which is the same amount as last year.
Okay. I have to say, when I first got on council, I had some issues with diversity with the chamber, and you fixed it rather quickly. I appreciate that. In fact, you actually let an employee go because it was found out he was kind of a bigot. And that was really appreciative. And I love the women that you've hired and promoted, and also adding African Americans to your staff, more to the staff. And that's not gone unnoticed. And the outreach to the other smaller chambers has not gone unnoticed too. Okay.
And you like the males he's hired also, Councilman Davis. The climate, remember our climate. You like the males he's hired also.
I do too.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you for all of that.
All right. But continue your outreach into those neighborhoods that traditionally the chamber has not been in. But also, just like so many of my colleagues have echoed, make that focus even more, because I know we're looking at a low unemployment in this city. And this may seem kind of selfish, but it has to be said. The unemployment that's critical here, especially with African American and Hispanic males. And if you could continue those efforts and continue your good job with education, I think you're going to be there. I may give you a hard time, but I support you. So keep up the good work, but please don't rest. Continue.
Thank you. There is one thing I would like to mention, because we'll continue to work with the academies, but as you all probably know, over the past couple of years, we've been working a lot on job certifications so that people that are leaving high school can not only continue their education, but also get higher pay work because they have job certifications as they exit high school. So we want to continue that. We'll answer all the questions, and then, Madam Chair, if I have a chance to end with a comment.
Oh, absolutely. Councilman Hall.
This is just a quick follow-up. Circling back in this part, Councilwoman Allen's original and then Councilman Davis. I know for a while there was city financing and chamber support for those smaller chambers, and for years they were financed. I think it was about $25,000 a year, something like that. I know that has stopped, but there were some that were added before that stopped that had never received any funding along those lines. So, not to be unequal or biased, but even the scripture says even the last will be first. I would be remiss in saying that some of those chambers that have been created that were never allowed to receive any of that funding or had not received any before it went away, that you guys reach out to those specifically to try to help them. They're also the youngest one. I have one of those in Bordeaux. To see that they kind of get caught up, because they're making a great stride to work with you guys and areas in Madison and Donaldson and others that they're looking to try to implement and emulate, that you guys could kind of reach out to those areas and specifically help them try to get caught up in terms of how they're structured, how they go about best utilizing the resources that you guys do have available to them. And that way they can be more of a specific or play more of a specific role in this growth. Also, to Councilwoman Dowell's comments about those outlying areas.
So noted.
The floor is yours, Mr. Schultz.
I would just conclude by saying that this public-private partnership that has existed is something that's existed since the early 90s. And I think what we see around us in this community happening is the result of that partnership. We are proud of our association with Metro government as we provide these economic development services to the city, but we are we also benefit from a great relationship with the ECD operation of Metro government. We work together as a great team. So, council members, we're always available to answer your questions. We are appreciative of the opportunity to hear your suggestions. And I would tell you, particularly in the area of festival promotion, and particularly in the area of building these relationships with other chambers in this last year, we've benefited from those initiatives which started in this chamber last year. So thank you all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Schultz. That concludes your budget hearing. If we can have the beer board, you can begin making your way down.